Hello and welcome to another episode of Mews R&D podcast. Today I have two guests and they both traveled a long way to join me. You only traveled for this specific podcast, right? No other business in Prague.
100% correct.
What else would we travel for?
Thank
As
you.
long as there's no follow-up questions, yes.
Thank you very much. The follow-up question is, so today it's Yael and Yoel, or Joel, but I wanted to say Yael and Yoel. But you are rather fresh to the company. It's been 6 months for you, I believe, and 2 months approximately for you. So tell me, Yael, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the career that kind of led towards Mews, and we'll pick from there.
Sure. So I am a career lifetime fintech junkie person. I started my career in online payments processing in the early 2000s, working for companies that sold software licenses online. So if people who remember the early 2000s might remember that if you wanted to install an antivirus on your machine, you'd have to go down to Office Depot and buy a disk and go back home and install it. Company I worked for figured out that you don't actually need the code, the CD. You can just buy the license key and download the software and just use the license key to activate it. So we would sell the license keys, and people would just download the software. And anyway, that's
so proper early days of the internet.
Oh yeah. And so that's where I got my first taste of accepting payments for online purchases. Selling digital goods is amazing because you can sell all around the world at once. You don't have to ship anything anywhere. So you don't have to figure out how do I get stuff in boxes and send it to like India. You can sell in India within 5 minutes. So I got the taste for that and I got into fintech, and then I joined a company that actually did the payment processing. Been doing that for almost 18 years now. And so I've seen a lot of things come and go. And now at Mews, I help Mews give fintech services to our customers, whether it's the embedded payment service that we already have or new services that we're working on.
I forgot to say, Yael is the VP of Product Engineering in fintech, for fintech.
That's right.
And maybe I'll have one follow-up question. You said that you got into fintech, but did it happen just like that, or you were like, okay, I want to work with money, I want to be close to the money?
I wanted to make a lot of money, so I went to music school. I have a degree in music composition.
Nice.
And so no, I did not start up wanting to be at all techie, but I've always loved tech, and I had some, I guess, aptitude for it. You know, I've done a little bit of basic coding in the 80s. And so, I kind of fell into it. And I think a lot of product managers generally fall into product management just because they're that sort of person who gets interested in stuff and just picks up on it and gets into it and finds it exciting, the learning process. And I think even my friend here has not had a straight line to where he is today.
Yeah.
100%. But I want to say it's similar that you chose music because you wanted to, achieve things. And it's similar to me in high school. I chose Latin over coding when I had to choose some,
Well, that seems much more practical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can speak Latin.
I cannot. Joel, what about your story?
I agree completely with Yael. Like, I find most PMs, in fact, find a winding path to product management. I was an electrical engineer for a long time, like a real engineer, designing big buildings and infrastructure.
So wearing hard hat.
Yeah, with a suit, but a hard hat. So I helped design really, really big buildings all around the world. I helped design the World Trade Center in New York, which is probably the most famous building I've ever worked on.
Probably with the most famous building period.
Yeah, there's a couple other good ones. So did that for a long time and then kept, advanced through that. Eventually ended up working in real estate, helping develop really big projects all over the world. Actually, I helped launch a hotel chain in the US. So if you ever visit New York, you should stay at the Equinox Hotel. It's very, very nice.
Oh, I know the Equinox.
Then to Yael's point, the path kept winding, and eventually a friend of a friend was like, hey, I think like this person at Facebook is looking for someone. I think you'd be really, really good at this. Like, do you want to talk to them? I'm like, I can't tell my parents, but sure, I can talk to them. And then, many, many months later, ended up moving to California, and that sort of was my first, I'll say, jump into tech. I'd had my own company before that I'd sold, and that was sort of a hardware-software mix. And we'd figured out that the hardware part was really hard and the software part scaled faster. So I was like, yeah, this software thing, like it has legs.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, like it has legs. So ended up working at Facebook for a while, which was super fun. Very educational.
You were there when they already had the campus in...
Yes. Yeah. I was there from 2018 to about 2021.
So you had a Tesla and a bike, or...?
Just the bike. Okay. Just the bike, no Tesla.
And the puffy vest.
And the puffy vests and many other vests. Had to blend in with the Palo Alto community. Then my boss decided she didn't like the direction Mark Zuckerberg was taking the company in, and decided to go to a smaller company named Zoom and convince me I should go with her. So
Tell
I
me
did.
the year, because that's very important.
This is literally as it's like right after COVID started, right? Like not before COVID. It was like kind of during COVID, but in the middle of it. And so, yeah, as you might imagine, what I went over to build is not what we eventually ended up building. Priorities changed.
The market shifted.
Yeah. But that was super fun also, and still very large company even at that time, but much smaller than Facebook. And I liked the size shift down. It was more interesting to have more direct impact on the company overall. And then eventually I ended up moving back to New York for many reasons, family, friends, familiarity, and led the B2B product line for a company called Clear, which is should be very familiar to anyone who travels in the US, but is probably very unfamiliar to everyone outside that. It is, they IPO'd about 2 years ago. They're primarily a direct-to-consumer company, and I helped launch their direct B2B product line. So basically help shift them from being just a consumer company to serving enterprises.
So you talked about the size of the company, and we're now at about 1,500 people. Today is September 2025, so if you watch later, it might be different. But was this for you, is this the right size for you? Is this big or is it small? Because there is this constant talk between people who join in different times.
For me, it's probably on the small side of companies I worked for, except for maybe early on in my career when I worked for just someone's business. But it's not small. Small is 200-300 people. 1,500 is enough that you can get stuff done. I've worked for 5,000. I worked for my job right before Mews was, I think, 10,000 people, which I actually did not enjoy so much. I think this is just the right size that I enjoy in terms of ability to operate, to do stuff, but at the same time, not hampered by the size of the company.
It's funny that you say you can do stuff, and I think many people who have been here for a long time are like, we are moving way slower than we were before. We
probably are, and for the right reasons,
scale,
and
it's wider.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think that's I agree completely with what Yael said. So I've been from 70,000 all the way down to 200, and right around where we are is the good balance of we can still move much faster than those people with 10,000 employees, but more deliberately than those people with 200. And the key is balancing the process so that we can make our customers, who themselves are those 10,000 person companies, right, and expect us to be reliable at their level because we directly affect their business, right? When we have a problem, they can't make money. And so they expect that we don't have problems. And unfortunately, one of the side effects of making sure you have less things break is you have to go a little bit slower to make sure these things really, really work, right? But I think we're actually at an awesome point. And I find it funny. I was speaking with our CPO last night, and we're going to look back in 5 years, and just like people talk about, oh, they loved it when they could all sit around one table at lunch. You're going to look fondly on this 1,500 period as remember when we were only 1,500 people.
Yeah. I guess it's always the perception, for some people who have been here for many, many years, if you took them out from 2015 and threw them now into Mews, probably they would be like, okay, this is crazy. But when you grow with it, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know yourself, to know what you're good at and what you enjoy. The early stage companies, for me, yes, it's fun to discover stuff, but for me, personally, I enjoy the notion that what I'm doing now is impacting that much more customers, more people, versus I'm trying to prove that this idea that we have actually works for someone.
Mm-hmm. And I'll build on that. It's also like having had my own company, which in theory was successful in that I sold it, right? Like we had so many great ideas. We're like, yep, but we will never be able to execute on that. Like that's actually not a real problem for Mews, right? I mean, it's always a problem. You have limited resources. But if we have a really fantastic idea, more often than not, the answer is like, well, let's go get the resources, right? That's a good idea.
Let's prioritize.
Yeah.
Right.
So what drew you into Mews? Because, you both are located in North America, where we're not very well known as an employer, let's say. And we're also not as big player in the market as well. So what was it? Was it our cold reach out and you were like, okay, this is interesting. This will be fun.
Yeah, I have to say, and I don't know, it might be a little inappropriate, but since I'm not in North America, I'm in Europe, I'm allowing myself to be a bit more inappropriate. Yeah, I did get a call from our CPO. It was a cold call. CPTO, yes.
Careful.
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. And he, described Mews to me and he said, oh, Mews, we're a PMS. And I was like, where I'm coming from, what are you, a healthcare company? I don't know. So it was really just, honestly, I picked up the phone the LinkedIn phone, when he reached out and we got talking. And my last few years in fintech, I had worked with a lot of companies like Mews. So I had worked with SaaS platforms who were embedding payments for their customers. So I've seen the other side of it, and I've seen the growth trajectory of these companies once they start embed payments. And so when Peppa, our CPTO, was describing what's happening at Mews to me, I was like, yeah, I've seen it, and I know where you're going, and I know why payments are so successful for you and why you'll be successful with these other things. And it would be such a great challenge for me to come help you do it.
So did you do like your due diligence? Because you, as I said, you probably never heard of us. So you had to actually go, are we legit? Is Peppa legit? The CPTO?
A little bit, definitely. I think at this point in my career, it's important to me to know who I'm working with just as much as what I'm working on. So definitely wanted to meet as much of the team as possible, our leadership team, my colleagues, the leadership team who would be reporting into me. Yes, I checked out, the industry in general, Mews within it. There isn't, to be honest, Mews is pretty exceptional. So when I did my, who is Mews like and who's his Mews competition? And yes, there's competition, but there wasn't a lot of Mewses exactly like them, which is, again, something that intrigued me. It was like, if you want to go work for someone who's leading their segment, trying to create something new within hospitality software. So all these things for me came together to, I think this feels right and interesting, and I'm not afraid of taking these chances either.
You also have a reason to travel to Prague.
Prague is amazing. I love Prague. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. We're not affiliated to the tourism center.
No, but it's great.
Joe, how about you? Did our CPTO also had a...
No, I'm actually up to. I reached out to Mews. So I was looking for like the next adventure, and I actually thought, I was browsing, to be honest. I was looking at more than just Mews, but Mews came up as an interesting opportunity, and especially with like my background in real estate and buildings and like knowing the built environment, how people operate, how they own, and the software background, I was like, oh wait, like property management software. Like I know properties, I know software, I know management. Like I've been at almost every stage on every person on this. I've been the guy funding the hotel, building the hotel, running the hotel, and other buildings. So it seemed and felt like a really good fit. I also really like all the things Yael noted. Like Mews is fairly unusual, and I really liked the approach Mews was taking with payments, with funding, with like solving the end-to-end problem, not solving a piece of the problem. And it was, as we discussed earlier, like really great moment in its life where I'm like, I can do this, I can help, this can be really impactful, and I can still have health insurance, right? Which is a pretty important thing.
So actually, this brings me to something that you both mentioned, because you mentioned that you joined because of the finance, fintech, you joined because you knew the property. So who we are we a fintech company or are we a property management company?
Yes.
We're an operating system for hotels, aren't we?
Yeah, but like
that's what we are.
No, I'm being facetious. I think what we are today is not what we're going to be in a few years, and I think what we're going to be in a few years is all of those things. I'll put my developer hat on, right? Like when we developed buildings, when we built hotels, offices, residences, much of what we looked at is all the things Mews does. Like half of our concern is how can we operate this property once we've built it so that we can figure out how much money we can spend to build it, right? Like how much money are we going to make with it? How are we going to run it? What's it going to cost? What do we do? Who knows how to do it? Can we do it 5% better than everyone else so that I can outbid the other people who are trying to buy the same property? And ultimately, those business and operational problems all blend into one, right? So I think ultimately Mews is all of those things you said. We're going to help you run your building, run your business. To do that, it's best actually if we help you deal with all the money stuff and maybe predict what's going to happen for you and let you know how many people you should hire and let you figure out that, if you spend $1 million this year, you'll actually make it back in 2 years. So that's worth spending. You should go build that new, parking deck or event hall or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The true hospitality so they can focus on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And maybe let's be, fully transparent, because I don't want this podcast to be only like Mews is beautiful, everything is great. Was there anything that you were like, okay, this is why I'm going there to fix it? Like
absolutely not. And if you insist that there is, I will leave immediately.
So maybe you'll be.
I'll say it this way. I fully expected that there are problems I'm going there to solve, because otherwise, why do they need me? I mean, right? So what do I know to do well? I know the stage of a company, and I know the challenges of, going from that 200 people or, to develop 2 pizza teams around the table, right? Solving a problem. The problem of a scale-up, I've been through that before. How do you introduce some structure without killing innovation? How do you keep engineering teams and product teams motivated and excited about what they're doing while still, building some safeguards into the software, for example? We need to, as a fintech now, build in a lot of financial controls. That's not fun. No one wants to do that, right? You want to build a sexy product. Yeah, it's necessary. So for me, I actually enjoy this stage. I know that this is something I do well. And so coming into Mews and part of even my, all of my conversations during the interview process were about how am I going to help you do that? That's really the value add that I bring. I'm not the best product manager. I'm not at all technical. But I know how to do this stage of Mews. When Mews is a 5,000 people company, maybe I'm not actually the right person anymore for Mews.
But you also, again, helped me with my next question. You said, I'm not at all technical.
Yeah.
And when I look at your title, it's VP of Engineering and Product Management, product, sorry. How does this, because I know you had product managers and product owners reported to you before.
Yeah.
Now you have even designers and engineers.
Yeah.
So how is this, and how do you kind of like this concept? Because it's not a usual concept.
Yeah.
Of course, it is used somewhere else, but...
Yeah, that was actually another part of what was appealing to me about this role is a new challenge. Yes, I've not managed engineers before. I've obviously worked very closely with engineers, but I always had like a senior partner in engineering that worked with me. So I think just like anything else, and especially in management and senior management, you're never going to be as knowledgeable about something as the people who work for you, right? So at some point, you need to understand how to ask the right questions, how to have them inspire trust that they know what they're doing. And at the end of the day, how to measure, basically. So yes, I can't challenge my architect on his design, but I can ask him, have you thought about the throughput that we will need to process X transactions next month? Are we going to be able to handle that? we need to be up 100% of the time. No one's up 100% of the time, but what uptime?
99.99.
Exactly. How many nines are we going to achieve? Can you guarantee that? If we're failing to do that, I will ask them, why are we failing and what are you going to do to fix it? So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually good.
Let me reinforce it also. So I have been the better kind of engineer, electrical.
Yes.
But even when I was a design engineer, managing teams of other design engineers doing highly technical projects, when you get up high enough, as you all know, we don't do real work. We go to meetings.
We
And
approve
podcasts.
vacations.
Yeah, we approve vacations and do podcasts.
travel, yeah.
But the joking aside, like to reinforce what Yael said, even when I was an engineer leading 200 engineers, I was not the best engineer there. Like the best engineers there worked for me and they were amazing, right? And the key is to know how to help them do their job and to take away the things from their plate that they don't want to or need to do so that they can go be the best at that, right? While we translate everything else.
Yeah, that's the pain of a growing company, and I've seen it in Mews as well. The best engineer becomes a manager.
Yeah.
You lose the best engineer, and you get very often terrible
I
manager.
think it's important for each and every one of us to understand whether or not we want to
Yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah.
When my first management position, my manager told me, think about this carefully because management is not what you're doing today. It's a completely different job and you are going to enjoy or not enjoy different things. And it needs to be very, it's a conscious decision you need to make and be happy with.
Yeah. To reinforce, and although I've had some of these conversations with some folks at Mews, both paths are completely viable, right? Like if what you enjoy is, I really want to be the best version of this individual, like I want to do this job or this project and I want to do it expertly well, that's completely okay. You don't have to manage to
Yeah.
advance in your
Right.
career.
And I think Mews was quite vocalized it quite early on that your career growth, because very often to get more money you need to manage more people, which I think is wrong because then you lose those amazing ICs. So I think this kind of worked out, and I also see what is good to see in Mews is that many engineers became managers. And then they returned, and there is like no stigma or shame in this. So that's pretty good. But when it comes to engineers, how do you inspire them to think about the client? Because that's very often, and this is also something I want to touch on, is the difference between the American mindset and European mindset of building things. And I don't want to label things, but I think we
What
can.
is the
in this-
difference?
Yeah.
So
Is there one?
I don't
feel
know.
like maybe not European, but I
Let us ask
I
the
could
questions
say, I
now.
could say- yeah. Oh wow. Maybe the Czech one, where they really, if I generalize, they think a lot about the solution, how it works from an architectural point of view, that the code is clean and everything, that it's technical quality. Whereas in the US, really the customer is in the mindset, and then let's do it somehow.
I'm going to disillusion you right now.
Please
That is
do.
not true. Engineers are engineers, and there are many engineers in the US who suffer from what I'll call perfect code with no users syndrome, right? And there are other engineers who go too far the other way. They suffer with like almost unusable code with several customers. And I'll say like the inspiration on my side is the same for all good engineers. Which they want to build cool stuff and they want to see people use their cool stuff and go, hey, that was really cool. And then they want to go and say, I did that.
So do you encourage them to see that? Like
I certainly
because
hope
it's,
so.
Of course,
No, because
yeah.
it's more difficult with the B2B product
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
that.
So I think in general, people like to have a sense of accomplishment, right? So you need to find ways to translate. If someone doesn't very clearly see an accomplishment, what they're doing, you need to find a way to show them that accomplishment. And actually, I find B2B way more interesting than B2C. Like I could never go work for Instagram to get more eyeballs on the feed. That to me is not a problem I want to solve. But working with businesses to help them become better businesses, I can actually, if you're talking from a personal value point of view, you're creating value in the economy, you're creating jobs, you're creating, right? So there's a lot of stuff to feel good about. Hotels in particular, all of us travel, all of us go to hotels, all of us can identify with what it means to be a guest in a hotel and how a service, from hotel can make you feel better as a guest and as a person. So I maybe because I do have a product background and I always think about the customer first. it is critical to me actually that all the people in my team think customer first. They just solve the problem differently, but they all need to understand what moves things for our customers. Whether it's the guest experience, how do I make my guests feel better? Whether it's their operations, their financial controls, even accountants have feelings and want to feel good about their ledgers, reconciling, and a good audit. Audits are. So, you just need to find ways to make people understand how they are driving value.
My apocryphal story for this, and I apologize to all the people on my team because I think they have heard me say this like once a week for the last 8 weeks in a row, is but take something like business analytics, like a dashboard, right? Like at its root core, people are like, oh, it's just like the numbers. What that dashboard is the way for that person you're showing it to show their boss they did a good job, right? Like what you're giving that person is a tool to say, look, I am doing great work.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, right? But in the positive state, right? Like it's a, look, I did a great job, right? You should promote me. Look at how good I'm doing. And it should be the feeling we engender to her point. It's not like they're not going to say Mews did a great job. They're going to say I did a great job, right? And that's what that should be the feel good moment. Is when we talk to customers and happy to put engineers in front of them, it makes sense, and they say like, "Oh my God, you guys saved my life! Like this was amazing. The change you made, it's awesome!" Right? Like that's I think what we should strive to remember is like we're building software for people to do their jobs. Just like when you use a piece of software and you're like, oh, wow, like that used to take 4 hours. Like it's so much better. It's awesome, right? Like we do the same thing. Yeah.
And I didn't mention what you do at Mews. And you are a VP of front of the house. Engineering product. There's a lot of words in your name.
Yeah, so many words.
Front of the house means everything that the customer touches and also the end user, which is the
I think the right way to think about it for easy is anything that a guest could interact with, right? So that includes the staff at the hotel that may interact with that guest. So from the front desk to maybe housekeeping, maybe maintenance, maybe the waiter at the bar or the restaurant, anything and everything where the guest might interact.
Has the fact that you joined this role, has that changed your behavior in hotels?
Oh, absolutely. I look behind the screens now.
And are you purposefully going to Mews hotels, or also you're purposefully going to hotels with different providers?
At the 2 months in, I'm still purposely going to Mews hotels because at this stage, I still want to learn like what are the things we're doing, how do we work, right? I won't say that I fully understand yet. I don't, right? And so for now, I need to learn that.
And do you dare to go with a Mews t-shirt in those hotels? Or not?
No, it depends. Depends how they're doing and how busy they look. But if they don't look like they're too busy, I will usually say, hi, I'm with Mews. And they're more than happy to tell you what they would like things to be and what they care for and what they don't care for.
So what is it that what is that you're working on right now? I know it's a very broad question, but what is the most exciting thing in the? Have
you heard of AI?
So I always count how many minutes we have until AI.
So obviously we're working on a very wide swath of things, but they fall into two general buckets, right? One bucket is like, can we make staff's job easier, right? And a lot of that is around efficiencies we can create in tasks. Obviously, there's a lot of AI in there, but there's tons of non-AI work that also makes your life easier, right? Like in one of our flows, and I won't shame the teams, but in one of our flows, right, there's a case where like this takes 17 clicks to do this thing that has to happen at least once for every guest. We're pretty sure we can do it in 2. So why did we get to 17?
You are sure, or the team is?
The team is pretty sure. I say we are pretty sure that we can do it in 2 clicks. And like, we should do that then, right? There's no reason not to do that. We should also make it 0 clicks and automate it later, but we should do both, right? So I think the big buckets of things that we're working on that are, to Yael's point, like seem unsexy, but if you're doing it once for every guest, going from 17 to 2 clicks is very material change in your life. And then there's lots going on the guest consumer side, but ultimately, all of the things we're doing on the guest consumer side is to sort of maximize the positive feelings and interaction those guests have. So probably the coolest thing that will definitely be on the roadmap, so I feel okay mentioning it, is guest communications, right? Direct communications and guests' soft loyalty, which I'm sure everyone's heard.
Which was the original idea of Mews, basically the customer communication.
Yeah.
So going back to
so
the
that's
basics.
probably one of the things on the guest side that is most exciting to me, because I think that is so foundational, and it's going to let us talk to our guests. Which then lets us do a million other things, right? Like if we can ask them a question and they can respond, and then we can act upon their response, now the world is open to us, right? Like, because you can ask us for things and we can take care of your needs, right? And hopefully in a good way, well, you'll give us 5 stars at the end.
And what about you and fintech?
Yeah. So I think that there's 2 tracks. One track is obviously we have a very mature embedded payments service. So almost every journey at a hotel at some point includes money exchanging hands. You've either paid before you got to the hotel, at the hotel, after you leave the hotel. We enable all these things, and in that context, of course, we want to support our customers in accepting payment in whatever method the customer wants to pay, the guest wants to pay, whatever currency the guest wants to pay, have it also cost effective, so cheap, that's not a bad word, as well as operationally viable, reconciles to the records easily, pays out on time. And then there's a bucket of new services that we're launching and we're working with. I can maybe mention one of them that's already launched, where hotels are very seasonal businesses, obviously. So there's going to be at least twice a year where the hotel is low in occupancy, maybe cash flow is a little lower, and we have a service that allows our hotels to take sort of bridge loans, short-term, smaller amount loans that allow them to get through a period of time without having to, for example, let go of staff. I actually heard a story from one of our hotels where they're a single property, small bed and breakfast, and so staff is small. They don't have a lot of staff, but in those low periods in the past, they used to let that staff go because they couldn't afford, to pay them. But when you let that staff go, of course, people lose their jobs, but also you're losing trained people. You're losing people that might never come back. So there's a cost to, even though you might say, I'm saving money on payroll, but there's a cost to hiring and rehiring. And so those little loans allow them to retain that staff over the low season, keep their staff employed, keep them doing other jobs, at the hotel while it's not full occupancy. So those are the types of services that they on the page, it's a financial service. I'm taking a loan. But like I said, you're actually enabling someone to keep earning money, an income during low season. You're helping a hotel be more efficient because they don't have to hire and fire and hire. So we are continuing to develop these kinds of services that basically allow hotels to be financially sound and operational.
Mm-hmm. And you've seen, grow other companies. What's ahead of us right now? We are, at about 1,500 people. So what's next?
It's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
No,
it only starts to be crazy.
No, I actually like my sorry, I should make less jokes. I think the reality is
humor is in the Constitution, isn't it?
Oh, good, great. The reality is we're going to have to work even harder to keep the same level of crazy. Right? Because if we have success, the customers will only grow, their demands will only grow, our success will only grow, and it's always going to be like this, right? There's always going to be a fire, there's always going to be a problem. The key is to put enough slack in the system so that we don't all drown under the load, right? And all the work we're going to do from now until 3 to 5 years from now is to just keep our heads above water continuously. Right? And if we ever get to the point where we feel like we no longer need to do that, we're probably doing something wrong and not growing fast enough.
So you think we'll never be finished?
Not if we're lucky.
And I guess also what helps is the super fragmented market that we're in, right? I think Pepa was telling, or our CPTO was telling that like the biggest player is like about 13%, and there's 4, and then it's like this tail.
Yeah. It's a great that's actually one of the reasons I'm here. That's a fantastic market to be in, right? Because you don't have to go beat the biggest player. You just have to beat everyone else.
I guess in social media, there is like a couple of big players, right?
Yeah. I mean, social media is, so I did work, as Yael knows, in the world where we were chasing eyeballs. And in that world, there's really like 2 or 3 players in everything, right? I don't know that this market's going to go that way. But the point is that if there's 1,000 players, it means no one's figured it out yet, right? So there's great opportunity. If you figure it out, you will win because no one else has. Otherwise, there wouldn't be 1,000 people trying to do it. There'd be like 10, maybe.
What's your prediction?
How can I chase that? So I think same, like definitely from my perspective where I'm sitting at Mews, we have a lot of green field ahead of us, launching all these new financial services, and that becomes more and more complicated as you think about where am I launching? Am I in Europe, in North America? Are we expanding to other markets? At the same time, the technology of payments keeps evolving. Today everyone dips their card or taps their card on a terminal wherever they are, and in the future there is no terminal. So I need to prep for that day as well, in which actually a payment is somewhere like in there. Maybe it's not even like the card that people hold is irrelevant. It's like,
well, I'm looking at my phone, and that's
you
what
have
I
your
use
phone,
now,
you have your whatever, your watch, your ring, your wherever
you have
it
your
is.
face.
Your face, exactly. All these things are
the
happening.
moneymaker.
I used to.
I'm not here because I have good questions.
I used to work for the companies who build those like payment technologies, and we used to chase the technology. Now I'm sitting here going like, "What's coming? What's coming? Give me something." I'm the consumer of this now, which is an interesting point of view to have.
It's really cool, though. I think it's going to be. We don't know. That's the fun part, right? Like we're going to figure it out together. That's the beauty of it. Like just in case to disillusion you further, your VPs can't tell the future more than about 2 weeks ahead of time.
No, 1 quarter, 1 quarter at a time.
But can you actually, whenever there is the planning, I feel like it's really like almost looking in a crystal ball because, as you say, things change so rapidly.
I'm going to use my Eisenhower quote, right? Like plans are useless. Planning is invaluable, right? Planning is what lets you understand the options and understand what's going to happen. Planning is what lets you change what you're doing when things go wrong. Plans are always wrong. They're always wrong because if we could predict the future, Yael and I would be sitting on a very large boat in Malta. We wouldn't be working here. We would have bought Apple in 1991.
True.
All right.
Microsoft. Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to kind of pass on to the next generation of people who are thinking about working in Mews, or to those who are right now, in Mews?
I would say what I'd say to anyone, anywhere. Just don't take it too seriously. At the end of the day, this is our job. It's fun. It's mentally engaging. Hopefully you work with people that you like, so you're also enjoying it socially. But it's a job. We are not fixing world hunger here. We are, and so take things with perspective. Yes, we have hard moments. We have stressful moments, but hopefully there's no life-threatening moment for anyone at Mews. And so really that's how I think in the bad moments. I'm like, it's just a stressful moment. Next, tomorrow's going to be okay. Like the sun will still rise. The earth will continue revolving. I will wake up tomorrow again and I'll figure it out.
This quote, this reel will be, cut out by everybody in the fintech team.
Put that on t-shirts. Don't stress.
Every quarter at the end. But yeah, you told me.
So I'll follow up with that same sentiment. By necessity, engineers and product people especially tend to focus on the bad things because that's how we make them better. We fix problems, right? So by necessity, most of our days, we spend a lot of time talking about how terrible everything is and how everything's broken and falling apart. My step back reminder to everyone at Mews is this didn't happen by accident. Like it is not a fortunate series of mistakes that led Mews to where they are. Not possible. That's too many mistakes in a row, right? So you all, not me, I wasn't here, right? Like you all have done a bunch of things right to get to where you are. So as bad as everything seems,
you're very picky, right?
Yeah.
Where you join.
So as bad as everything seems, and there's lots of problems. That's why we have jobs, right? There's always problems. We also do some good stuff, right? So don't forget about the good stuff.
Actually, that's very good that you mentioned this because, my job is to get people on stage, get people write blogs and talk about what they do. And the number one response is, well, I don't have time, first. And the second is, I have nothing interesting to talk about. And I'm always like, you're lying. I'm sorry, you're lying. We just got this Series C or Series B. You're lying to me. So thanks for kind of...
Well, I think that's the fun, like, because it's your day-to-day job and you're focused on like, but my thing is terrible. Like, look, it doesn't do this one thing or this other thing. Like, it's hard to remember, like, no, it doesn't. But it does those 80 things, and those are pretty good, right? Like, focus on the 80.
Nice, thank you. So everybody, you have something to talk about for those who are in Mews, and to everybody who's outside of Mews, definitely reach out to me, Yael or Joel.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Reach out to us on LinkedIn. I'm sure you're responsive, hopefully. And see you some other time. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip back home. And I don't know if you have them yet,
Swag.
but there is socks for you. So I hope I chose the size right.
Nice.
You can put them on for your long
Mews
flight.
has by far the best swag of anywhere I've worked. I hands on
100%. Highest t-shirt quality of any company I've ever worked at.
Well,
and selection.
You haven't had the socks on yet. So
True.
yeah, these are good for cycling, running,
Oh, great.
and chilling by the TV.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See you next time.